welcome to That Happens, the podcast where we are doing things a little bit differently today. How you doing, Kevin? Haha, just kidding. Kevin's not here. That's right, folks. Today is a little bit special. It's a bit, things are special. Why is it special? It's a special period in time where the elemental plane of fire has become what we call coterminous with the material plane, which means fire elementals and other beings from the fire plane can cross over into our world, and similarly, we can cross over into theirs. So Kevin is on an expedition to check out how local volcanoes in the hopes of being able to cross over and trade with the Ifrits. So today we're actually going to do things a little bit different. We're going to steal something to play for you from YouTube. I was recently on a friend of mine, Mira Manga is her name on YouTube. I was on her YouTube channel. She interviews people. What would she want me to say? If I had to ask her what she wanted me to say about how I introduced her, and she responded to that question, what would she say? Perhaps her name is Mira Manga on YouTube. That's Miramanga on YouTube. And it's her dream to interview the creators that inspire her, especially if they're dungeon masters or sci-fi fantasy authors. She's had Dan Abnett and Graham McNeil on there. She likes interviewing people and just talking about cool nerd shit. She's awesome. It was great talking to her. Had a blast. So yeah, we no normal show, but check this out. Hopefully it's good and you like it, and Mira's awesome. You should check out her channel. We're going to have her on the podcast soon as long as we can make it work. So look forward for that. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I'm self-destructing, so I'm going to hand it over to Mira. So take it away. Enjoy the episode.
That happens.
Okay, so hello everybody. I would like to introduce the amazing Spencer Crittenden. Welcome, Spencer Crittenden. Hello.
How's it going? What's up?
It's good. So a little bit of my story is I started doing a YouTube channel where I talk to people about my favorite things. So recently I spoke about a game called Mordheim. I was trying to learn about it. It's a Warhammer skirmish game. And then I got a bit deep into the Grimdark. But my first love is D&D, and you are my favorite DM in the whole world. Would you like to know why?
Why? Sure, yeah. Thank you so much.
I have a list.
Oh, no.
Why Spencer is my favorite. You are brave, and you inspire me to rock up and run D&D, because we all saw you running up on stage at Harmontown. So you invented the rock up and run. So now I kind of try and volunteer if there's people needing one. Mm-hmm. You figure out what players want to do and let them do it by saying that happens. And you have the Spencer dance, which I pull out often.
Wow.
And there was one thing where I just realized, okay, Spencer's going to be my favorite, is you were recording Harmontown and you were challenged to just invent monsters on the spot like this. Like the tooth monster, and you were like, bam, I have one. Like the monster that's made out of seashells, and you kind of had one.
Yeah.
So that's why you're my favorite dungeon master.
I think that, yeah, when I was doing the improvised monsters and stuff, I feel like that was maybe the height of my powers. I don't know if I'm quite
Yeah.
on my game that much anymore, you know.
What arcane powers were you tapping into to receive those monsters?
Just it's weird. It's like performing is a really weird thing that I never really had done before, and it was like I don't know. It was like a very magical time from the Harmontown tour. You know, obviously I wasn't on the podcast for very long before they went on the tour.
Mhm.
You know, and that I think happened on the tour, and so it was just this really weird experience where I'm like, you know, trying to learn to perform. And also, like, on the tour, I was on the show a lot more than before because basically they kind of would bring me up just as they were going to start like the D&D or something, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really be an on stage kind of presence or whatever. But you know, they on the tour they didn't really have too much to do because we would just do so many shows. It's not like, that's the thing, as a podcast you kind of got to live life between recordings, because otherwise it's like, well, what do you talk about, you know?
Right.
Nothing happened, you know. So unless you have like a topic. But you know, so they were like, well, we don't have anything, we're on a bus, so let's get Spencer out here. And so, you know, it was a completely different like performing dynamic that was really weird. But you know, people were really enamored with me, which was a really weird thing. Never happened in my life, you know, weird thing to adjust to. And then so like performing and seeing people like liking you and stuff, it was just very strange. And so I think it was this very, very weird kind of mix of like just trying to figure stuff out and you know, being really supported and stuff. And I definitely feel like so much more dead than then, you know. So I think, like, you know,
you feel so much more dead than them.
Yeah, I just feel like old, you know, and dying, you know. Like, I mean, I'm really,
I mean, I relate. It's something happens like that youthful spirit, and then you're like, oh, okay, now we are at the end of the mortal coil. So yeah, relate.
I gotta buy cat food, you know.
Yeah, domesticity. What can you do? Like the daily grind. So I guess so part of my channel is explaining what D&D is. Mm-hmm. Although if people are watching this, they love D&D. Let's be honest.
Sure. Yeah.
So if you were going to, you're going to have to just bear with me as I go through my very preschool question.
Yeah.
If you were going to explain Dungeons and Dragons to someone who never played it before, or you're trying to like bring them in, do you have like, what would be your like pitch?
Well, okay, so I think I'll preface this by saying that I think it's uniquely kind of difficult to explain D&D in an effective way. I think if you were like explaining to someone just to get a story across or whatever, you could get there. But if you're trying to pitch as if to say, I don't know what D&D is, convince me I should play D&D with you sometime in the, you know, near future. You know, that is like a really complicated and different thing than just functionally, dice, etc. You know, and so that's a really hard question. I think for stuff like that, I think that Harmon Quest is actually really great because you could just kind of show someone an episode of Harmon Quest and be like, look, see, okay, so there's these people, they're sitting, they're having fun, you know, it's a game, but it's like you're also just hanging out, having fun, making jokes, and you know, you can see that happening on the stage. And so I think Harmon Quest is really great because it's short. It's not like a lot of other presentations of D&D are like really long and they have setup. So it's like, how do you get into it to the point where you can start seeing what I'm talking about, right? Whereas Harmon Quest, I think you get into really, but so that's just all a preface, which is a really hard issue. But if I'm trying to pitch someone on D&D, I'd say like D&D is, it's a lot like hanging out with your friends, and also it's kind of like playing pretend as a kid, where, you know, you're acting out as different characters and you're saying, I do this, you know, or whatever, but there's rules to it and a world that kind of keeps it from just being like, you can't kill me, I'm invincible. So as a result, you're playing this interesting fantasy story and doing fun, magical fantasy stuff, and you're hanging out with your friends and having a good time and laughing. And, you know, you could take it seriously. You don't have to take it seriously, but it's a fun time with your friends, kind of like a poker night. But what you're doing is kind of halfway between improvising and playing a weird kind of theatrical war game or something, you know. In which I could probably refine it, but that's off the dome kind of, because I think again, that's like
good. I'm in.
Yeah, that's what I like about Harmon Quest is I think it sells you on the poker night. I think without that, I think you're like, It's just guys tracking stat sheets and a book and dice. Like, it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're hanging out, you're having beers or whatever. There's chips, it's like joking with your friends. Like, that's a huge part of poker night, And so, yeah.
I'm a bad player. If there's any way I can skid around the rules and be like, I could role play or sing around this, I will do that. But we can come on to this. I have a section on bad players. So could we talk about Baby Spencer and your first interaction with D&D? Do you remember it?
I don't know. I have a number of initial impressions, and I'm not sure exactly which hit first. Okay. So there's kind of three stories. One in about fourth grade, someone just happened upon a monster manual, and they might have had the other books, but we were like, clearly there's something here. Let's play D&D, but we didn't have the other books, so we're like, well, I guess we'll just be monsters. And so we were essentially playing D&D with monster stat blocks. And yeah, it was fun because I like monsters and I don't like humanoids so much. So it was great. I'm like, I'm gonna do this now. It's like we're being the news. Yeah, and so it's just fun to be monsters, and so that was like that iteration, and that kind of grew out of reading fantasy books like the Redwall series and stuff. So I think that kind of inspired our fourth grade fantasy and Lord of the Rings, obviously. So that's that story. Another story is when I was really young. Probably around that same age. I don't know exactly because it's social life or it's family life. I was at a Thanksgiving with my cousins, and one of my cousins was like, let's play D&D. And we rolled up a druid, and I had Goodberry, and it was 3rd edition. And I don't know if we actually played. We might have just rolled characters, but we might have just barely started. I know we didn't like get anywhere, but I was like, I got Goodberry. I'm good to go. I'm eating berries and healing, and I was like, okay. So then I feel like that might have been the legit first D&D thing. I just remember Goodberry druid. I see skills. I don't know what's going on. I don't remember.
Such a pure memory, the druid with the Goodberry. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why it could have just been character, because you just set up character sheets, and then it's like, let's go eat Thanksgiving dinner, and then it's time to go home, and then it's like, oh, okay. And then the other one is my next door neighbor was my best friend growing up, and for most of my younger life. And he was really nerdy, and his older brother was really nerdy, and his older brother had Star Wars role-playing books. And so, and this also, I can't place this in time relative to the Thanksgiving, but this also might have been before the D&D. I just don't associate it because it's Star Wars and it's playing pretend. So it's not like I was like, oh, D&D role-playing, this is an established thing. But I remember making some sort of like... It was the guy. There's like these guys that look like hammerhead sharks in like Star Wars. Yeah, I had a Star Wars character like that he was a mechanic, and he can like repair repulsor vehicles or something. And so we played very briefly as that. I think I had like a pet alien or something. That was like one of your character sheet. You could have a pet alien. And so we didn't get very far in that either, but I remember doing that, and I just remember like I have all these skills that are like repulsor repair skills. They're great for like jet engines and Star Wars spaceships. I'll be great at fixing these or something. It never came up, but we didn't get very far in that either. But I can't remember.
Somebody in the comments will tell us what that alien is called, the name of the spaceship you had, the name of the alien that you got. So wonderful.
Yeah, I remember that the archetype, like it was in the book that you could kind of pick the archetypes. I think those were like classes, but they might have been a bit different than classes. But the archetype was Cynical Scout is what it was called.
Amazing. From Goodberry Druid to Cynical Scout. It happens. So I was doing a little bit of research, and there's one story about that you say where you played in college and then D&D made you feel bad, so you stopped for a bit. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, could you tell me one occasion how D&D made you feel bad, and then one occasion where D&D made you feel really good? You don't have to answer that. I don't want to take you to
no, it's all good. I'm just trying to think of, like, the thing is, D&D is a social game, and as a result, how it plays out is a reflection of the social dynamics already at play, or it can distort and change and kind of pervert those, but it's social, so it's playing off of social dynamics. I had a podcast where people would say like, how do I have this problem and this problem, and we figured out like, turns out that D&D is a social game, so the answer is not clear because it's a social answer, and a social answer is going to depend a lot on norms, your group dynamics, a lot of things, your relative power in your group, like all sorts of things, like you might have to be tactful, you might be able to be like, this is crazy, who knows. But so it's hard giving blanket statements without knowing. But as a social game, the social dynamics kind of have problems. But so what would happen was, for a long time, I was the only DM in our friend group. And then we started getting more friends and playing in more games and stuff. But I would basically not get invited to be a player in a game unless I was the DM already. So it's like I was DMing for years, and then finally other people are DMing, and so it's like, great, I can actually play, and then it's like, well, I'm not even, then I can't get into any of these games. And it's like, man, it's always so much work. I would always burn out as a DM. Like I'm a figure in the community. I am uplifted and stuff. But in my real life D&D experiences, I burn out pretty fast and early. And our games end up being pretty limited compared to a lot of other experiences. I know that's common too, but so it happens a lot. And so that would happen a lot to me. And, maybe that's why people don't like it. I don't know. But so I wouldn't get invited. And then the rare times I would get invited, it would just not be very fun. Like the two ways it wasn't fun is, one way was there was a player that was basically the main character of the quest, and he had a lot more magic items than everybody, and he had abilities on top of that, and the story was bent on him, and he had NPCs at his disposal, and it was just what is going on? Who
are you driving? How is this happening?
Yeah, and first of all, it's I'm fine if on his turn he's doing max damage, and it's okay, I'm just gonna cast shield or something. That's one thing, but it's why does everyone care so much? He has to dominate so much percentage of time that we're all spending. It's that you can be crazy awesome and still take up your, because D&D is a pie chart where hopefully everyone gets the piece they want. It doesn't necessarily have to be an equal piece, but it's the piece they want. If they want a small piece, they should get it. But they're taking up. Oh, my cat's throwing up. Oh boy.
Oh no.
I'll have to clean that up. Well, that's the perils of live performance. It might be in my.
I feel
never happened before Zoom.
Jason wanted that piece of the pie chart, and we have to give that. So.
Yeah, but so that was just a really weird experience, obviously. And I don't think that's too common, but maybe that happens. But the other one was just that there would be a lot of just boring combat that was very samey. I remember one time we fought a pretty standard construct without much to say in his abilities, and it was in a 30-foot square room, and then we beat him and went to another 30-foot square room and fought an identical construct, and we did a third time, and it was just 3 hours, and I'm like, what why any of this isn't none of
I pray that you were in 5th and not 4th at that time.
It was in 4th. No, it was in 4th. Which is which I liked 4th more than other people, maybe less than the rest of my group, but I think we gave 4th a pretty good shake when it came out.
Yeah. But doesn't combat, is it more crunchy and more extended in 4th?
Yeah, and it just wasn't interesting. It wasn't the monster wasn't being interesting. It was just not dying. And so
the monster was not sassy enough.
This is so boring. It's just, and so and so I don't know. And so I wouldn't get invited to games. And then sometimes the few times when I would, it would just be a real bummer. And so I'd be like, well, and this sucks. And so I was just I'm done. It makes me feel bad when I think about it. I'm not going to think about it.
Okay. So side question. If you're feeling bad at the table and you're bummed out, can people tell? Or do you do the sulky teenager? Do you go quiet? Do you go on your phone?
Well, I go quiet. Oh, another bad thing about the group is they would get rip fucking drunk, including the DM, and then it would just nothing would happen. No. But so okay. So I wouldn't get quiet. Well, I would get kind of quiet, but I think I had a pretty good, poker face or whatever. I don't think I would let on, but the way I would let on is people would be like, okay, now it's time to take the weed break after everyone's already really drunk. Okay. Everyone would smoke for 30 minutes, come back in, and then drink a lot more. And then everyone was just fucking gone. And I think maybe they'd wait an hour and try and get back to it and play a really drunken thing. But it's it's basically going to be 2 hours until anything happens and maybe it's done. And so when that would happen, I would usually be all right, I'm going to take off. And I think they took that really personally, which that's my bad, whatever. But I think they're oh, Spencer doesn't hang out with us. And I was no, I don't like playing D&D, but everyone can't play D&D because everyone's trashed. And then also the D&D sucks outside of that too, it's just like, I'm just going to go home and go to bed. I don't want to stay up until 4 a.m. doing this right now, because I don't drink. And if you're not drinking, everyone else is drunk. It just sucks. Like, especially if it's like I'm trying to play D&D and they're like, I'm drunk.
Everyone's like, I thought of something really funny. I'm going to do this. And you're like, this isn't funny. You're ruining a campaign we've worked 9 months on. So
but at the same time, I probably could have handled it better than just like ghosting them, because I don't know. I did a lot of Irish goodbyes at parties and stuff, and I never took it very serious. But I think it can make people feel bad, and I don't think I considered that adequately. And so that could have been why I didn't get like invited very much or something. Like, who knows? I don't know. Maybe I was doing stuff back. Who knows? I'm not trying to be.
I'm loving your self-reflection, but I would like. I'm not a priest, but I'd like to absolve you, because some people who get like bummed out at a table can like tip the table or like foul up everyone else's play. Okay,
that's the thing. I just like, I'll just get out of here, get out of your hair. Like, it felt like the right move.
That was a good thing. It was the right decision. So I am absolving you with no priestly power.
Thank you.
And then could you tell me about a good or really positive, like super happy D&D experience?
Yeah, I guess I'll just talk about like before like Harmontown and everything, just because I don't know, maybe it's more pure. But there was I was the DM in a group, and this game also didn't go super long. But I had this cool idea for a guy who had like a bad guy who had his dungeon was like a crazy alchemical laboratory. So he was like a mad scientist, alchemist kind of guy. And he had like a fly chamber, like The Fly, the movie The Fly, a teleporting chamber.
Right.
And basically when the dudes get like, so there was like flesh golems with like chemical like fusions and potion kind of things and magical living spells, just weird kind of magical kind of mechanics for the dungeon. And then at the end, you get to him when he's at the fly chamber, and he gets in the fly chamber. But there's like something, I think it's a bunch of potions or something are in the other thing. They just happen to be there. And so he fuses with a bunch of potions and becomes this big like Hulk with a bunch of like potion tubes sticking out of his back. So he can like invoke potion effects and spit different potion kind of effects. And he's just like this big hulking kind of Bane kind of monster on top of that. That's just like kind of almost like a little bit like a beholder, but more like breath weapons and potion effects, just like randomly firing off between like punching people. And it was a cool boss fight. And then everyone's like, we got this thing. Does anyone want to try to like fuse with stuff? That guy was like fusing with stuff.
No.
People decided to pick random magic items that they had and try to fuse with them. And so one person fused with the decanter of endless water, and so he can like blast water out of his body. And someone fused with the real joy was that someone fused with a bag of holding. And because we're like teenagers or whatever, we were like, okay, your butthole is a bag of holding. And so people were like like he would just stuff everything into his butt, and it was just he was like, it was really funny because we just go around and he'd like stuff everything in his butt, and it was just a lot of fun. And everyone was being like fused with. I could never have guessed that. I just thought it was a cool kind of boss setup, and it was just like, and this is like, and that's the thing. It's hard to explain to people, but that's what's cool about D&D is that doesn't happen in a video game. It's stuff that you can never expect it, and it's really unique and specific and cool. And it's even kind of hard to explain because it's so specific to the circumstances and being there and stuff that is just these really specific moments, And I think that's like, so it was really pure and really awesome. It's just
I mean, I don't know. I think pure. With the butthole, but no. I mean, that's wonderful. When you said, "Oh, there's a fly chamber," I was going to a really dark place. So I'm really glad it was like, that's very pure indeed. I am. It's a real joy to talk to you because I've been really kind of steeped into this thing called the Grimdark, which is the Warhammer setting. Have you ever dabbled in the Grimdark?
Not specifically. I mean, I've followed Warhammer 40K, on and off. I wouldn't say I'm a scholar in it, but I did like the Grimdark isn't something that rings a bell to me other than just, obviously it's been described as Grimdark 40K.
Yeah. I guess, my language is bad. I guess it's just the setting is kind of without hope. And it's almost comic. Like it's almost funny how crazy it is. I know. So this is an absolute joy. You're bringing the joy back into my life. I loved you had a description of D&D as a world simulator.
Mm-hmm.
So could you speak on that a little bit? I just thought that was a really sweet way.
And honestly, okay, so let's preface this by saying I think that this to me is a little bit of a weakness and like a myopia that I don't think is necessarily good, and I'm kind of trying to question it a little bit as an ethos. But in D&D, I would all because D&D spurred from playing pretend, and for us, playing pretend was role playing, just without knowing that role-playing games existed and had set rules that involved dice and certain kind of precedented mechanics. So because of that, I would just become the DM, and people would say, I do this and I do that. And I would just be like, that seems like it would work. It works. So like literally anything and so it's like, it seems like you probably could block an attack. Sure, you do, where if it's like, but it's like, that's impossible. You can't jump 40 feet in the air for no reason, and but basically everything people wanted to do that to me seemed like it would functionally make sense in my simulation of this pretend world as I saw it as a fourth grader or whatever, it would happen. And so like, that's kind of how I carried on. It's like, what this is I'm trying to like simulate this real world with consequences, and the characters don't exist to service the players. They're real breathing characters with lives and needs. And if you grab one by the shoulder and decide to ask him 50 questions in a row while he's on the way to work, he's not going to answer every one of them. He's going to be like, dude, I got to get to work. And it's not because he's suspicious, and it's not because I'm the DM trying to hide information from you. It's because to me, it's unreasonable that the person wouldn't do that. Right. And so that's kind of like a world sim and similar, like I think people would get on Harmontown. Like sometimes like Aaron would have ideas that I would be like, no, that doesn't work, because again, I would be like, this doesn't make sense to me. Like physically, I'm simulating it. It's like that wouldn't happen the way you think it would, so it's not going to work. But when you think about it, so again, questioning this ethos, like I was saying, it's like it's fake. It's fake. It's all made up. And it's all made up for the purposes of having a good time with your friends and doing kind of cool, fantastical stuff. So if it can be cool and interesting and you're playing to that, when it breaks against the simulation, that could be really good. So that's kind of like a blind spot I would have, is not seeing those opportunities. And I think those opportunities are there. Sometimes, why bother making the guy walk off because he has to get to work? It doesn't matter to simulate that. Like, maybe it'll be a lot more helpful. And like, again, like when you get into the situations where it's like, oh, this guy's hiding someone or something, or the DM doesn't want to reveal this information, you send the wrong signals. And it's like, no, I'm not trying to send those signals. And so it's like, yeah, you can break the simulation when you want to send the right signals, or you want to kind of encourage the kind of play, because at the end of the day, you're facilitating a kind of gameplay,
right?
And you want to do it in a way that helps everybody. And so like that's a way I've kind of like broken against that idea a little bit, but I do think there is value in being like, yeah, you're not the center of the world. Just because you're the heroes of the story doesn't mean everyone's gonna like bend over backwards to help you out and to sacrifice their interests and stuff. Right. I think that's a fine balance to strike.
Spencer, 2 of your answers already could have been YouTube videos with their own subjects. Like, this it's so good. Like, it's really great.
Yeah.
It's great to see how your brain works. You are valuing for money, my friend, and I'm not even paying you. Although I am going to send you a gift.
Thank you. That's
also,
awesome.
Erin I went through a terrible breakup, maybe 4 or 5 years ago before COVID lockdown, and I started a podcast called Girls on Tour Podcast, where I interview like inspirational women. And I was like, you travel, let's talk about what you take when you travel. She was one of the people that was like, sure, you can interview me. So she kind of helped build me up to be able to like email my favorite DM in the world. So thanks to Erin.
Awesome.
You do a lot of writing now. You have lots of creative projects, like you do all the things. So I was just wondering, like, was there this crucible where you were a dungeon master that did writing for D&D, and then you kind of began to work with Dan, and now you do everything and D&D. So how did you working closely with Dan, like, lend into your writing? Like, do you now use a story circle when you're writing D&D, or like, how did it all meld together?
So I think that, like, I don't know. I think that it's kind of subtle, a lot of the stuff that I've learned from working with Dan and stuff, just because I think the most valuable stuff that I got was from sitting in the writer's room and seeing how various people talked about it in terms of critiquing, like finding flaws with this and that story, and thinking about, oh, this is a flaw, but this might be a fix. And then if you're thinking about a flaw, be thinking about different dynamics, and just like being critical and analyzing different stuff, and like how to kind of deconstruct and talk about various elements of stories, because a lot of creative stuff is just hard to talk about because the jargon might not be fully developed, or it might be very personalized, or it just might involve concepts that are hard to put into words. Like, it's hard to talk about visual concepts with words because they're visual, they're not words, you know. I could say a line and that could mean a million different things. But like I think like just learning how to talk about it helps you know how to think about it. And then when you're thinking about it and you think the right thought when you're on a certain problem, that can lead to like a breakthrough. And I don't know. So I think like I've been really helpful at helping other people analyze stories and give notes and stuff and break down what might not be working. And that's been from like analyzing that. And I think I've also learned a lot just about characters, because the story circle is fundamentally about like making the character central to what's happening. And I think that's a big part of everything. I think it comes into D&D a lot too, but maybe in D&D you can get no, I think it is a big D&D lesson, but it's like you can't tell story without characters unless you're using a narrator, you know, and a narrator's character. So like, because like I always say, like, this is writing stuff, but if the bank is going to take your house, there's no bank that walks in and takes your house. Right. Either the dad says the bank's going to take our house, or some guy says, I'm the bank manager and I'm going to take your house. Like, either way, that's a character. It's the dad or the bank guy, but it's a character. It's not the metaphysical concept of the bank, which in our lives, that's what it is. We're not thinking of a character. Like, we're like, I owe the bank, you know? So like to sell concepts and to explain exposition, you really need characters. And a lot of times that can be NPCs. And so like a big lesson for me is just like, yeah, just have NPCs for everything. Always be introducing NPCs that you can use later, like, because you need NPCs to explain stuff. So always be putting there and make the people kind of comfortable interacting with them on some level. Right. So, you know, they start to progressively go like, can you tell us what's going on? And you don't have to like be like, the red solstice is upon us, you know, or whatever, and like kind of force it, you know. If they have investment in a character, then they're like, oh, you're sighing, oh my god, you know, and then it's like, oh, I have a problem, you know. And so I think that was a big thing, and that's big in writing too, is just characters. It's not how I think, because in D&D I think about maps and metaphysical concepts and cool monsters and traps and puzzles. Like, I don't, I think the players will bring the characters and I will respond to those characters, you know, but thinking about, and so it's actually been really weird kind of transitioning as a writer to like kind of exclusively trying not to think about characters at all. And I hate conflict. Because, you know, I'm a passive, terrified person. So I just, I hate conflict. So thinking about conflict, which is the basis of like storytelling writing, is like really stressful and hard for me. So like, but learning, you know, from Dan and stuff has taught me a lot more about trying to think in those dimensions that you tend not to have to go into. Well, not you have to, but I tended not to go into, because that was not my like most compelling interest, was like this overarching story. I would make the stories too big, and then the players would never get through them before I would burn out. So
right, yeah. No, I love I heard somewhere that you like to kind of come up with like a cool concept, and then that, like, this, I want this to happen. I want there to be a fly chamber, and then. So it sounds like you kind of got these extra onion layers and levels now to play with. So that's really cool. Thank you. Yeah, it's great, because I think a lot of people come into D&D and then they will either be a character or a DM, and it's a pretty constant level. Like, this is how I do it. So I just think it's great that you got exposed to that world and then you could meld it all in. You went into the fly chamber. Yay. Okay, so here are a couple of like just dumb quick questions. So I quite often enjoy watching you sit in your car eating delicious food.
Sure.
Not as creepy as it sounds. I pay to do it. Not as creepy as that sounds. It's part of your offering. So, but like, are there any must-have snacks when you're D&Ding? And is there anything that people eat at the table you're like, this is too gross, please no? Is everything acceptable at your table?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think like if you have a whole meal,
Even
it's
like
better to
ramen
just take
soup.
a break. But yeah, like I'd say just take a break and eat, not eat during, like if it's a whole meal. But I think that's fine to even take a break and eat like a full, or yeah, like, in the past sometimes we would cook like food as a group, and or like some of us would, and then other people would come up and then we'd all eat and then we'd play, D&D. And like I think there's a lot of room for that. And I don't think about snacks. I never bring them. And then I'm always like, I wish I had them. Other people have traditionally picked up on that, or like, like brought their own snacks or brought snacks for the group or whatever. So I never really had to. But yeah, I always think like, I'm the DM, someone else think of snacks.
Yeah, they should. Honestly, that is really valid. That should be tribute. The DM should at least be fed. It's so weird. Like for some reason, how I came into like D&D, however it was, I kind of learned that you bring your own snacks, and everyone, they bought their thing, I bought my thing,
man, that's some good stuff, huh? Guys, it's me, it's Spencer. So I'm here to interrupt the episode that was going so good before I got there and ruined it. The sparks were flying between Spencer and Mira, and then Spencer shows up to fuck it all up. Jesus Christ. But, we got to pay the bills. So, yeah, let's get it on with some ads. Hello, I'm Old Man Crittenden, owner of Old Man Crittenden's old-timey old lemonade. That's right, we dry age our lemons until they're crumbly as your mama's eraser dust. And then we wring them into water and squeech them into the cup. And even then, we take them, swirl them, and keg them for 2 years until it's just old enough to taste. That's right. Get some Old Man Crittenden's lemonade down here at Old Man Crittenden's Lemonade Emporium. We got lemonade in all sorts of things, from buckets to barrels to old shoes. That's right. Old Man Crittenden's Lemonade Emporium, now with 20% less feet. Use the promo code Goblin Flakes for 15% off your first silo full of old-time lemonade today. Hey guys, it's me, Spencer. We talk a lot about mental health on this podcast, and we like to joke, but there's actually something serious I wanted to talk about for once. Mental unhealth. Mental unhealth is just as important and valuable, and if you start now, you can try Mental Health 3 for no money down. Just give us your credit card. I promise nothing's going to happen. Mental unhealth. Just go, batshit crazy for a while. Punch a hole in the wall. Yell at stuff. Just go attack trees. Tilt at windmills. Mental unhealth. It's highly underrated. In today's fast-paced world, you need mental unhealth. Use the promo code GoblinFlakes to get 40% off your first case of bipolar disorder if you act now. That's right. And just in case you didn't think I was involved, trust me, I was a big fan of mental unhealth before they were an advertiser. My favorite thing? Anxiety. Check it out. Anyway, we gotta advertisements are important, but now that that's over, we can get back to the show. And yeah, I hope you're digging it good style.
Favorite Dungeons and Dragon monster? Sorry, I have to ask.
Yeah, it's gotta be Mind Flayers. I didn't have to think very
Really?
long.
They're so scary.
Yeah, so 3rd edition was when I was really hitting D&D the hardest. Like I was the youngest and the most kind of drenched in it. I had tons of splat books and had more as like pirated PDFs and stuff. But one of the books I had early on was The Lords of Madness, which was a deep dive into, I want to say 4 to 6 different aberration types. There was Grells and Beholders and Aboliths and Mind Flayers and Neogi. I guess there's more. There's maybe like 8. And a couple others I can't remember. They've fallen out of like popularity and I can't remember their names, but they would be really in depth. They would be like biological anatomical like writings, like explaining like, oh, this is the seromorphosis process of the mind flare, and explaining how their society worked, and had these big city maps and broke it all down, and just all sorts of stuff, and just like aberrant mind flares. And they did this for beholders and everything, and I just like the mind flares just really sucked me in for whatever, and I thought they were really cool. Oh, you know what, so in Final Fantasy Tactics, which is a video game for the PlayStation, you fight a creature that is just a mind flare, and it looks like a mind flare, except it has a squid tail coming out of the back of the head as opposed to like a rounded kind of octopus head, right? But it's called a mind flare, and you fight it, and I was like, that's the coolest thing. And then when I found out that was in D&D, I was like, so I think that's actually, but the Lord of Madness was like a really cool, I really like felt like I'm the mind flare expert, you know.
I think mind flayers are having a renaissance because they were in Stranger Things, and most recently The Mandalorian. One of the scientists just got put in not the mind flare, but it's a machine. So like it's coming back. Yeah. Okay. And then, sorry, I'm just rattling through my question.
Good. Don't worry about it.
I'm just a nervous person, so it's kind of good knowing that you also have these nervous moments. So just show my vulnerability. When you are like doing monster voices, have you ever felt like you need to kind of play into character voices, and where do they come from?
I'm really, really bad at voices. I've always been bad at voices. I remember being in like middle school, and my friends would do impressions and like voices as part of their like joke around humor. And I was like, this is incredible. How did they do this? Like, it's just like, it just felt impossible. It just seemed like something that couldn't be done to alter someone's voice. I felt like this is something I thought more of lately, but I feel like I think so hard about what I'm going to say that it's like it all builds up and then it just explodes out of my mouth, that I can't even, like, it's not a matter of what my mouth is doing, how my voice sounds. It's like, it's just completely random. It's hard to replicate. It's just like, and so like, I feel like I don't put a lot of intentionality into that. And so like character work is exactly that. I've been very, from Harmontown and stuff, I've been trying to do a little bit better, but even just sticking in character, or like what a character's voice does in different stuff, like in different moods, and different like volumes, is like it's really past my expertise. So really it's just kind of fucking around and trying stuff is the only thing like I do, because it's like, I'm not gonna nail this. I'm gonna forget and lose the voice. I'm gonna forget what this person sounds like it's gonna happen over and over. But I guess this is so stupid, but I have the gnome voice is like maybe the only voice I have, other than like the low voice, which is
that gnome voice made you a lot of money.
Voice. Sure. I mean, I like it, but it's just, it's not really anything. It's just like, I
prefer the gnome ads to normal voice ads. But I mean, I really look forward to it, because you knew when there was going to be like a put upon NPC, what he would sound like if you were doing him. So I really look forward to the different voices you pulled.
Well, yeah, most of my NPCs are put upon, but I think that the gnome voice came from, and this is so stupid, but Jimmy Neutron was a cartoon. Oh yeah, I didn't even really watch. Like I everyone watched it. I didn't love it. I mean, you can watch anything if it's on, but like I wasn't like something I liked. But at the end, they had a production card for like a studio, because it was like made in CG, and so this was like the 3D animation studio that made the show or whatever, and it would be like a monkey with 3 eyes, I think, and the monkey it was 3D animated, and he would go, "Hi, I'm Paul," and I think that like it's not quite the voice, but I think like that kind of is where I'm centering the voice around. I was like, "What's going on?" And then just kind of, it's not exactly how Paul would do it, I'm sure, but that's
Paul spoke to your soul. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. And if I was to sing, "Here I am,"
I don't know. I don't know what that is. D&D fans, I don't think this is a D&D thing. I think this might be something else.
So basically, when I do videos, I write a theme song for every video.
Oh yeah.
What I do is I find like a really epic like orchestra, like a really thing, and then I sing a dumb song over it. So
wow.
Yeah. So I am going to sing a song for me interviewing you. And do you have any hints or tips? Was there anything you'd like me to include? I was trying to find a rhyme to Crittenden.
Mm-hmm. Hitting them?
Yay!
I don't know.
The Moomin pencil will write this down.
It's a nice pencil.
Thank you. And singing in your D&D games and in your daily life, do you sing? Just
a little bit.
Don't know.
Sure,
I was trying to tease you into singing a famous song, and you know what the song is.
Yeah, it's not a good song. It's a weird a cappella comedic song that I didn't come up with. I don't know. I don't want it to reflect on it. It was not my idea. Like it's just some weird.
We can leave it there. If you know,
it's not even. It's probably not problematic. I don't think it is. I don't know. I thought it was really funny to just completely leave you hanging in front of an audience that presumably would not know what you were doing.
I'm super flushed. This will be one of those moments, most watched moments. Well, I said to my friend, I think I'm going to sing in front of Spencer, and either he'll join in or leave me hanging, and either will be funny. So
I can sing with you, just not on that. I don't think that's a good song for us.
Oh my gosh, what could we sing together?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not. It's not the singing that I take issue with.
No. Do you ever like write songs or like for fun or for your campaigns or anything? Is it part of your like Spencerdom?
No, I think I naturally I think a lot of people, they kind of mess with lyrics on their own, in part because they don't know the lyrics. They're just like, what could it be? Just messing around, Mm-hmm. And I do that. And, sometimes when I'm messing around, like having fun, I try to do parodies of songs and stuff. Not like full blown, but, just of certain lines and just kind of like messing around and be like, and sing them like that. This would be a perfect opportunity to have some sort of example, but I don't.
I always play bards. I have I think it's my first ever bard mini.
Mm-hmm.
She was called Fickle. She's incredibly badly painted. I
like it.
Like when things are kind of slowing down, and this is why I'm a horrible DM. Sometimes I'm like, there's this karaoke village challenge. If anybody sings, maybe you'll get an inspiration point. And some people really hate that. So
that's funny.
I think a lot of times, because I'm just struggling to kind of validate my existence, I'm like, we could sing a funny song together. And it's like my go-to. She's a very strange go-to, but
you make a song for every episode. This is clearly, this is your domain. Yeah, that makes sense.
It just makes me happy because I think people will be like, "What the hell happened?" or they'll just laugh. So,
yeah, I've been trying to I don't know. I've been hanging out with my friends, and sometimes they'll play music. And my friend has a dog named Haley, and it's the classic thing to just put dogs in songs and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've been just trying to just kind of rap. Or come up with songs where it's just kind of with whatever music's going on. I'm the Haley dog. I'm here to eat, and I want to get all of the meat, get it off the table and in my mouth. And just kind of like that. Just like that kind of thing. Just kind of messing around. Just kind of vaguely musical. It doesn't usually you maybe get 3 couplets in before you collapse, but it's just messing around. I do stuff like that. And you do that. We could paradise stuff. It's just basic. Just fucking around. I don't know.
Yeah, you have good wordsmithery, so I guess that helps when you're doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think you just got to be quick.
Thank you for joining in that section. I love you even more. You're wonderful. I was going to just mention how much I love Spencer dance, and I pull that out at weddings and stuff. So thank you.
That's impressive. I got to see that. That sounds great.
I mean, yeah, I think there's a video of me pulling out at a wedding and people moving away from me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're a danger to others if you're doing that dance. I think it doubles as a self-defense move.
Yeah, I mean, I will see if I can send you the video.
Awesome.
Do you play any board games?
I mean, no, I think that my typical routine with board games is someone's like, we should play a board game. They get a board game. I'm spending the whole time vaguely learning how to play, and I'm way behind because I don't know what's going on.
Mm.
And then we stop and we never play the board game again. If we ever hang out again, we play a completely different board game.
One.
And so it's like I'm always just way behind, and it's like that doesn't feel great. It's like, if it were more constant in the same game and I could get up on it a little bit, that'd be different. But it always feels. And then in the past, a lot of times, I've noticed that people are really bad at explaining games. I'm pretty good at explaining games. I'm good at explaining stuff. That's something I value. Like I try really hard. But it's really hard to learn a new game when someone is bad at explaining it and doesn't just want to let me kind of like process it on my own, because but also it can be hard to just read it and do it. It's like, that's why it's really helpful to have someone who's good at explaining games. And again, I'm good at that. So like, you want me at a game night when there's new games, because I'll know what to say, what not to say, what to just get started with, what needs to be said before. Like I'm a fucking genius. Like your viewers should understand.
They should understand. That's why I was so excited to have you on. It taps into a lot of things that are insecurities or annoyances, and so it's like I'm just gonna avoid it if I can. But I don't have a lot of big gamey friends either, to get into it with. Yeah. So. Well, I was going to talk, like, you're very kind of Hollywood adjacent just by your geography, right? Mm-hmm. So what we've witnessed over the past few years is like this resurgence of popularity with D&D.
Yeah.
Like peak threshold now where like Wizards of the Coast are hiring in movie stars to come talk about new stuff. And we have a whole D&D movie, which I thought was really fun.
Yeah, I really liked it. Yeah.
Oh, yay. I really hate the Displacer Beast. Even just to play, it gives me the willies, as we say in the UK. So I was like, I didn't like it. I love that they jumped into a gelatinous cube. I love that they had the Hasbro cartoon kids in there as well. Mm-hmm. What did you like about it? I'm so happy because I have some cynical friends who were like, but I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I think that like I think that it was just, I did not have complaints. I think you could make the argument it was predictable. But I think that I don't know. There's something that you could say is really heavily telegraphed to someone who would look for predictable things in the movie. Mm-hmm. There's something that happens in that movie, and even that I think worked to me, and the whole audience bought it. And I was like, if something can be that predictable and still work. Right. Then like, what are you mad about? And so it's like, I think that's the biggest flaw, is that I think you could say it's predictable, but it's great. I think it's so hard. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having notifications. Good. Yeah, sorry.
No, don't worry. It's all good. I just wanted to make sure you didn't have to like take a call or something.
No, it's good. Thank you.
But the D&D is so specifically good, and the humor and like the flavor of how D&D adds to the story is so subtle, and it's a hard balance to nail. Like you see it on screen, but if you were trying to like say like, I want the movie to feel like this and like that about D&D, it's like, how do you actually land that plane? And I think they did. It's a really crazy balance that they managed to strike. I think it's just so fun and so freaking funny that I think any minor complaints you have, you get past. And again, I think the main thing is predictable. But yeah, it's like, it's a D&D campaign. I'm sure a bad guy's going to come and we're going to have to deal with them, like, so I like, it's like, what do you expect? And so, but it doesn't, what I was just realizing the other day was that it's really cool that it doesn't go super deep into lore that's hard to parse, which is what people associate with D&D, and what I like to try and promote is not D&D. Like, it's not like, that's what's fun about my D&D is you don't have to know like 400 years ago the wizards conspired, like you could just be like, I'm gonna fart on the Pope or whatever. Like it's silly, and that was the kind of D&D you saw in that movie. But also it's just like, a displacer beast. We someone might say what it is, and then we see it. They name check the Mordenkainen's arcane seal, and it's not like, you guys know Mordenkainen, and you see him spending years perfecting the seal. It's say the seal. If you know what it is, it's fine. If you don't, you get it's a magical lock of some kind. It's a barrier, and it's like nothing needed explaining like that, like if, and you'll probably realize, like, you go think about any, you see a Birdman, you don't have to know it's an Aarakocra and that they hail from whatever. It's like, no, it's a freaking Birdman. His name is Jarnathan. It's like, it's fun. That's what I mean. It's Jarnathan. It's funny. It's like, it's funny the right way. If there's like, there's a runner with potatoes, and I was like, that's kind of a hacky joke, but it's like, not every joke is perfect, but like, I think it's just so fun and funny, and it's confident, and I think it's just, there's some huge laughs, and I think it really sells what's fun about D&D. I don't know. There's like, this is the joke. I don't know how intentional this was. I want to know what you think of it because you saw it, but there's a lot of there's a lot of shots that are these wide, giant shots of travel that are these interstitial, like, oh, we're going from here to there. And so it'll be usually 3 or 4 shots that's like, oh, big forest, volcano, giant mountain. The idea being like in D&D, we travel over these vast, crazy biomes, right? And it's very fantastical. But at a point, you kept seeing them, and I was like, this feels like a joke. It feels like, okay, we're going to see 3 of these shots, and then we're going to be somewhere else. It was like, it's funny but that also is D&D, so we got to go there. We got to go all the way back, and we got to go all the way back. And it felt like a tongue-in-cheek joke that might not even register as a joke, and just felt like a beautiful fantasy pastiche. But also, and it's like, that's what I feel like. It's just like, it was just so fun. It was just so fun.
I mean, that's so interesting. My flatmate Fiona, who like loves RPG, she does a whole podcast on one shots and stuff. She came home and she was like, I kind of would have liked had they stayed in one place and really like explored the crap out of it. Like, you know, it felt like a lot of like, oh, we're here, we're there. And I'm kind of cynical, so I'm thinking, okay, Underdark, so that's going to sell Out of the Abyss. Okay, we're here now, so that's going to sell. I know, because I love D&D, but I'm aware that they will not miss a marketing opportunity.
But also D&D is about going to disparate places back and forth and just seeing a bunch of different, like, it's kind of like, I don't know if you play Minecraft, but an underrated part of Minecraft is it is kind of weird that you have this like you have a desert, and then right next to the desert is a giant glacier, and then right next to that is a rainforest. It's like, when you're playing a video game, it's like you just kind of take it for granted, but that is kind of silly. And D&D's the same way, you know, and I think that that's a cool thing to showcase. And campaigns are often structured like that too, where it's not like we're not really getting into the mechanics of the Waterdeep economy or whatever. It's like, no, we're seeing these big splashy tropes, and we're getting out, and it's not not complicated. And again, like, I think that's like they want to showcase this is a fun. I feel like it's this poker night thing. It's like it's fun, it's silly, it's crazy, you know. It's not, you know, 400 years ago wizards conspired.
Yeah,
know, it's like,
I love the tongue-in-cheek stuff, and the way you were describing like the shorthand. So, oh, you see a creature with wings, like from that paladin's performance, I know exactly what a paladin is like.
That's exactly what I mean. Yes, that
was so great, and I felt like whoever wrote and made it, they did it with love for the game, and they got it, and the amount of Easter eggs. I was just so happy that somebody was like in a props department, like bringing all the things in. I enjoyed, like, I'd never heard of the staff that does the portals.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was real or not.
Well, I was thinking, oh, that's so like Rick and Morty, like, come on. And then obviously the game portal and stuff.
Right, I was going to say that. It's like, it's really the game portal.
Yeah. I know, right? But hey, we're kind of aligned in these ways.
Yeah.
But the joy, I mean, that's for me, it's the joy of D&D, and yes, there are stat blocks, and I really rely as like kind of like very bad with numbers crunch, and I always look with admiration at min-maxers. I don't know if you've ever had the misfortune to play with them at your table. But,
yeah, the main character guy was a min-maxer also.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember this one min-maxer guy, and he was some kind of fighter, and he had a special bow, which meant like he could attack like 8 times with this bow and like do so much damage. It ruined the game. So then the DM put him in like a box of like walls of force, and he couldn't anyway, it became this whole battle between an overpowered player and the DM, like 2 gods, and the rest of us were like, maybe we'll order more food while this plays out over 3 hours. So what do you do when you have naughty, that's a terrible word, what do you do when you have like disruptor core players at your table?
So D&D is a social game, so as a result, solutions are going to be...
but I have watched you deal with incredibly drunk players. But I mean, I guess you could do the Irish goodbye on those players.
Well, I'm very passive. I don't know. I kind of just put up with it, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. that is generally how I deal with it. Is I kind of just deal with it. I would say if like someone was writing me on my podcast that has ended, but you can still check it out. It's on YouTube. I don't know, whatever. But I would say you should talk to them outside of the game at a time that was comfortable and say, and don't be accusatory. You could try and bring that, like, oh, it's so fun and this is awesome. And, there's the compliment sandwich or whatever, the idea that you don't go like, hey, the way you play is wrong. You go like, hey, it's so fun doing this and I love this and that. And then there's this, and also it's important to kind of, you give the person a way out, like a way to save face is like, I'm sure you didn't mean to, or this is probably just what I like to do is like, I phrase it like, look, man, I'm a fucked up guy. I'm a broken person. I'm incomplete. I'm helpless. I need help. I'm so broken. I need you to help. Otherwise, I can't carry on. I'm so crazy that I just see this one little thing and it would help me so much. So it's like, it's not you are fucking up. It's like, I am the problem.
I need some.
But let me just talk about this. And I think that might be a really blatant lie, but that might be the social veneer you need to kind of broach the issue or whatever. Yeah. But, I think because you have to talk about it, you have to talk about it openly. You need to not engage the other person's defense mechanisms. And, you got to hopefully work together to a solution. And maybe there's a solution. Maybe the person, sometimes like the person has a different problem that might be related to it. And so it's like, you're not even just like bopping them on the nose. You might be helping them in a different way as well, or maybe it actually helps them and they might seem like it but they're not having a lot of fun, or maybe they think they're having fun but they're not. I don't I'm not trying to second guess other people's minds, but it's just it can be helpful to talk about problems, but you have to just be a little delicate, otherwise it can be hard to actually make progress.
Thank you. Although sure. I do receive your point that the social aspect of D&D, just the humans are just going to ruin it whatever we do.
I just mean that there's no one solution because what I just described, you could be all like, yeah, but you don't know Carl. Carl hates that. And what Carl needs is if you punch him in the stomach and then say whatever you need to say in German, it works. Yeah. And so I understand that you can ask for questions, but without knowing your friends, how they are, like you can never get too perfect of an answer, but overall it comes to, just the basics of human communication. I always like to say that most 90+% of human problems are caused by miscommunication. And then the others are like different value systems,
and Carl could just be an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That's a value system. He values being an asshole. It's like you could be communicating perfectly to Carl and he's an asshole, and so it's not going to solve your problem. Yeah. But 90% of the time it is going to be a miscommunication. Yeah. Probably exacerbated by Carl being an asshole. But
I love this Carl character. Okay. So I sidetracked myself, but so Hollywood adjacent, we have this beautiful movie that you and I really enjoyed. And how do you feel about suddenly D&D it's kind of like, it's not like a little secret anymore. It's, out in every normal everyday shops have like D&D stickers and there's food with D&D on it now. And just how does it feel like to be out in the light, I guess?
I think it's mostly good. I'm not going to lie. I'm a toxic person. I do resent a little bit in a weird gatekeepy way. It's like, man, everybody used to say I was a fucking loser. Like if I came along 10 years later, I could have done basically the same thing, but have been seen way differently by society. Right. And so it's like, what? Come on. Like now you don't even have to sacrifice being cool to do the things you like, which is good. But it's like, man, I wish I would have benefited from that, and then the other thing is just in terms of toxic jealousy, it's like, man, I wish I was more centrally involved to this explosion that's happening. I wish I could profit more from it, I feel like obviously, I don't know. I truly do feel there's a lot of things. The thing is D&D live play podcasts are a lot older than people think. They just didn't catch on for a long time. But they're a really old form of podcast, and podcasts are a pretty old medium, so like older than people think. There's when podcasts became popular, but they were around for, I think, a decade before that.
Wow, I didn't know that. I think the first one I stumbled across was Adventure Zone.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, so D&D big podcasts were Adventure Zone, Nerd Poker, us, and then Critical Role. And I know Adventure Zone started playing D&D because we did. And I know
oh wow.
Yeah. And so like I do think we were pretty important, not the lead or anything, but I think we were part of growing the scene to where it was. And 100%. I don't think it was me, but I think it was but I think Adventure Zone was a lot more impactful. But again, Adventure Zone might not have done it, or maybe they would have seen it otherwise. But like I'm saying, it's like podcasts, there's these really long old podcasts that just never got a lot of hits or whatever, that are just these long old D&D live play campaigns, but I think we were at least part of the wave. And but I think we kind of abandoned it to do Harmon Quest, and then we stopped doing D&D on the podcast and stuff. And so like right as the wave was starting to crest, like we pulled back, and I was like, I wish I should like try and do my own thing to try and stay in the D&D scene, and I never did. And like I'm just like, it's all taking off, and I feel like so far from it, and I feel like I could have just done better choices to like be more central to how the scene is playing out. And I'm like, it's fine, I'm fine, everybody, I'm fine. But I'm a toxic person, so
I know you're a toxic person and you're dying, but I feel like this I'm hoping that this thing that we're experiencing, whether it's like really cresting, like it's this big ocean of D&D, will just become like installed as part of, like, you have football, you have soccer, you have D&D, and that pie chart, I honestly believe there's so much pie to go around. Like if you ever feel like, hey, I'm dying, but I have I took some vitamins this morning, like there are places and things that people can always jump into, hopefully.
That's the thing. It's like the scene is so healthy. I just am not really part of the scene, and I'm not good at networking and stuff. And so it's like, it's really just being like, I guess what I'm seeing is my own weaknesses, and being like, this is right.
I don't know. I think if you did your own thing, and even if it was like a quiet little thing, people would be desperate to kind of see and hear it, because the reason maybe people were inspired by those Harmontown episodes is you just brought so much joy and laughter by playing D&D and being that permissive DM with the world view. Oh, we can do anything. So that is still you. That's innate. You have the making magic. So yeah.
Thanks.
I think, you have the power within you to make thousands of people happy, and you could do that for a table in your back, in your garage, or you could, do whatever you wanted. Sorry, that was a little bit of a pep talk, but
it's okay. No, it's
also like very selfish, because if you create stuff, I get to listen to it. So
sure, yeah. But then I have to make it. Like,
I know. Who knows? That's the worst. I hate editing stuff. I hate when you record podcasts and you have to go and chop stuff and upload it. Maybe if only Jason.
To be a lot after a while.
Yeah, if only Jason could help you out and do those bits.
I've been training her on using Premiere, so
there you go. Well, thank you so much. It's just been so wonderful to talk to you, and thank you for going down all my silly cul-de-sacs with me. But I really appreciate you. I'm gonna say goodbye and then stop the recording, and then we can say goodbye properly after. So thank you so much, Spencer, for joining me. It was really great to talk. Oh no, I have to do the thing. Spencer, is there anything you'd like to talk about, or where can people find you online?
I'm at the Sixler on everything. I guess just join my Patreon, patreon.com/the Sixler. I've been trying to do D&D stuff every month as well as other stuff. But I don't know. I've been slipping a little bit, but I'm trying to get back to doing it. It's just different stuff. Like I have these little dungeons, I have subclasses, and it's a lot of fun. I don't know. Well, what's something interesting that I did recently? I just made a stand-up bard, like a stand-up comedian bard subclass that they kind of roast the other enemy, and they have like they can do fire damage. Basically they kind of like can debuff, and then if their debuff results in the enemy failing at their task, they can do fire damage to like add insult to injury. And so yeah, it's like a stand-up bard. And I think next month I'm coming up with a bunch of oozes. I was just really inspired by a bunch of slime based concepts. So like I was just thinking like of the idea of like slimes that they eat different precious metals, and then you can hit them with hammers to like form them into the items, and the slime like leaves the metal, and then and so it's like they're useful for forges because they're, you know, you could composite the exact kind of alloys you want and form the slime into the shape. I don't know. So like just thinking of a weird, so I try to do, you know, I've done some magic items. I've done, you know, sample encounters that you can throw in. Like it's just done a lot of random stuff. I don't know. It's very fun for me to do. And if you want to see what's going on, it's very fun. You know, it's very Spencery content, if that makes any sense. Like it's very in my wheelhouse, and I think it's a lot of cool stuff.
I agree. And I will put links to the stuff. And if I can figure out editing, I might be able to overlay some stuff you did. Be like, wow, cool. But yeah, highly recommend. Spencer, thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, nice to meet you. Bye.
Yeah, thanks so much. See ya. And that was Mira Manga. Check her out, Mira Manga, on YouTube, MiraManga. And I don't know, it's actually pretty weird to do this. I thought it would be funny to do this, and recording it is stranger than I expected it to be. So until next time, I don't know what Kevin does to prepare these episodes for air, so I don't know if I'm going to cut credits or if there should be credits or like an end song here. That Happens was filmed in front of a live studio audience of Jason the Cat and broadcast on the internet. That Happens, starring Spencer Crittenden, Kevin Day, executive producer Kevin Day, directed by Kevin Day, original music by Ryan Elder and Corey Gastonod Geyer, original art by Callie Fontecchio. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at That Happens Pod. Email us and we might read it out without reading it ahead of time at thathappenspod@gmail.com. Check out our website at thathappenspod.com. That Happens was produced in association with Schwab Home Video. That Happens LLC 2023. Legal stuff available on request. That Happens.